Well, auspicious start here.
Why?
We're live. We've got 583 people watching us on YouTube. But on Rumble, I am getting a CDN error, and it looks like Rumble, the site, is down.
Whoa.
So,
domestic terrorism, bro.
No, it's us, man, because we brought locals down.
Oh, we brought
just
locals
us,
down.
right? And now it looks like we brought Rumble down. Now, let me see if locals is down because it's on the same, or it's on Rumble servers, but... okay, Ziggy's complaining in the chat. Finally, couldn't get into locals. Rumble's lost. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting times. But
what's going on, Hunley? Server attack? Is it?
I don't know. I don't know their traffic situation. I don't know how things are breaking down. But what was it? Nate was telling me earlier. Did you hear about Matt Walsh?
The beard guy, the guy with the thick beard. What?
Apparently, somebody got a phone and pretended to be him, got the SIM refreshed, and totally hacked him. Got every DM he has, everything. And I guess he's saying things like Ben Shapiro is gay. And
you mean like jokes?
No. Like,
well, they could be jokes. They could be jokes because I tweeted the same thing to Viva about you.
Well,
so I mean,
thank you.
But I was joking.
But that's
praise. Who's to say? Who's to say, Hunley? I'm joking, but they may misinterpret that. We hacked into Lord Buckley's phone, and we found he made jokes about Hunley being gay.
It could be that. I guess he called Joe Rogan the P word.
Penis?
No, the one with kids.
Oh my!
Yeah.
My!
Anyway, so it's not. It is a very, very, very bad week for Matt Walsh. Apparently.
Oh Lord!
I wouldn't want to be that. I don't know. I'm hearing it all, Nate. From Nate third hand, so I haven't seen it directly. But
right, well, he's done a lot of great work. I mean, he got Vanderbilt Medical Center to pull their website down about. Butchering kids with their crazy transgender policy. I mean, he's done a lot of good work.
I know, and that's probably why he was. I mean, they're after him.
Take it again. I can only say to the right, to the conservatives, this is what they do. This is what you have to do to fight back. They don't seem to want to play ball. People on the right do not want to play ball.
I want to point something out too that I don't know if people are considering. He could have been hacked by state actors, like literally the CIA.
Oh, absolutely.
I would not be surprised at all.
Of course. Why wouldn't they?
I mean, and it's a really, really horrible situation.
This is a rough battle that only one side is playing. This is a rough war that only one side seems to be engaged in.
That's true.
The other side just keeps taking shots to the face in a boxing match. And at some point, they're going to go down. As Howard Cosell said in New Orleans when George Foreman was fighting Joe Frazier and he knocked him down, and the world was stunned that Joe Frazier went down. Howard Cosell just kept saying, "Down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier," and that's how I feel about the conservative right, because they just keep getting beaten up by George Foreman, and eventually they're going to go down like Joe Frazier.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, okay, to start the show off, because Pasha left us a tip in locals, and he went through and created a new cover for the blues, and it's a subject of today. We're going to discuss some, and it's villains of the blues.
Oh, I like that. Well, just keep that up there because I might as well get this out of the way while we're doing the blues. This is today's blues hero, other than the one we're going to look at, the villains of the blues. This is the hero of the blues today. And maybe you could just take that down for 1 second. So put this one up here. This is Blind Willie Johnson. Of course, it seems like every hero of the blues is blind, but this is Blind Willie Johnson, native of Marlin, Texas. Blind Willie Johnson worked as a gospel singer between 1927 and 1930, recorded 30 sides, including vocal duets with his wife. Much of the music was as percussive as any dance blues, and he attained the most rhythmically fluid and totally vibrant sound of any bottleneck guitarist of his time. He died in the late 1940s while living in a musical capital called Beaumont, Texas, where I believe Johnny and Edgar Winter come from. As Edgar Winter told me, I'm from Beaumont. Go on.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a question, but specific to your knowledge as a counselor. Is it possible that some of the blindness could have come from drug use in the community?
I think this is just my opinion. It came from rickets and other poverty-related diet situations, and living in really abject poverty in the Deep South. I don't think there's one reason that all of them are blind, but I think it's poverty and diet related.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it would be a good profession to pursue. If you don't have your eyes, you could hear better and maybe pick up.
I mean, there's so many of them: Blind Lemon Jefferson, Blind Willie McTell, Blind Willie Johnson. I mean, the Blind Boys of Alabama. I mean, there's so many of them. It became a joke in the 70s when we were just kidding around, learning about these people for the first time. We would just make up, all these different names for ourselves. Which I won't go into at this point.
Well, speaking of the South, you appeared on a Southern radio station out of
Montgomery, Alabama. Yeah, MAGA country down there. It was great. There's a guy who loves the show down there. It's WACV News Talk 93.1 FM out of Montgomery.
Right. It shows Happy Hour with Greg Bedell.
Greg Bedell is the guy. Yeah, he spent a lot of time out of Miami, 25 years in Miami. Actually covered the Skakel trial out of Palm Beach back in the day, working out of a live remote in a bar in Palm Beach during the Ted Kennedy Skakel trial. I don't know if people remember that rape case, but he said to me that he covered it quite thoroughly, and a lot of big fans of the show down in Alabama. So shout out to Montgomery.
Howdy, Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, he's plugging the show and they love it down there. MAGA country, bro.
Well, I found the recording. I'm going to crop it and then I'm going to put it up on Locals.
Right. Well, we're going to do a weekly thing, I think, according to Greg, every Thursday at 1:35 Central Time. 1:35 my time, 3:35 Central, if you can find the station, News Talk out of Montgomery.
Perfect. And I got a tip in from Locals, Biden 24. Boy, they really want you on this Fetterman team. Question for Mark. We heard the Fetterman team approach you for your skill in writing a speech, but I'm sure you'd like to join the winning team. That will be us. Are you open to coming over and writing a speech for us, fully paid, and joining the team? If yes, can you unblock me on Twitter? I promise to stop calling you the love child of Groucho Marx.
Sometimes people get blocked for bad jokes. It's just like, stay in your own lane. I said to a guy one time who was a carpenter who just kept trying to be funny because he perceived me to be funny. And I said, look, I won't build any cabinets if you stop trying to make jokes. And he kind of got that and backed off after a while. I don't make cabinets, so I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I mean, at one point, I want to say it was in the early 90s, because I mean, Timothy Leary was still alive. It must have been like 2 years before Leary died. I was approached to run on a presidential ticket with Leary as president and me as vice president for the Peace and Freedom Party based out of California, which is a real party. And I had to reluctantly decline due to other commitments at the time, which meant just living a normal life. But it was a ticket of me and Leary. And I don't know how the guy came up with that, but I thought, well, who knows? Maybe this cycle will come around again.
Crazy. We got a new member with Brenda S here. Sultron is saying Jamie Foxx is from Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah. Woo! And he's currently experiencing some sort of COVID vaccine problems.
Well, he had a stroke. Don't know the cause, but
right. Don't know the cause. Anything.
We are not giving out any medical information.
Super talented guy. Playing Ray Charles at one point, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic film. My pick of the week. A tip for Jamie Foxx fans. Look at
another blind artist.
Yeah, right. The Ray Charles movie by Jamie Foxx, fantastic.
I'm your buddy guy, Biden Fetterman 2024. It's a no-brainer.
Well, Buddy Guy, again, and not blind, but an incredible blues guitar player from the south side of Chicago who has a place, I believe, that's still open called Buddy's Place, which is his own club. Buddy Guy, just one of the amazing guitar players of all time of the blues.
Okay, now somebody's saying Jimmy Fox isn't from Beaumont. I don't know where he's from. Okay.
I don't know where he's from. If he is, he is. Yeah, okay.
But I like super chats. Can you throw more in? People argue.
Yeah, argue among yourselves about where Jamie Foxx lives. You know.
Jesus. Oh, okay, cool. Here we go. Question is Jamie Foxx. Jeez. Okay. Thank you, Soltron. Thank you, everybody. Definitely appreciate the tips. I see if there was Rumble rants, but Rumble is down still.
What?
It is. All right. So to our villain of the blues.
Oh, you're talking about Alec Baldwin. Yeah. Wasn't he in a movie called Something Blues?
Probably.
Yeah. No. What was the Alec Baldwin varsity? Not Varsity Blues.
No.
Something Blues.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he's been in a lot of movies for sure.
Mm.
Anyway, I did check out the.
I think Google Incognito is down, if that matters to anybody.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they're saying Rumble's back up. Anyway, I did check out. They had a brief hearing this afternoon in Santa Fe. It was online, and it was just an appearance with Sleepy for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and the new prosecutors. Were there. Jason Lewis and Carrie Morrissey. Carrie Morrissey did most of the talking, but
I'll tell you why he did most of the talking, because the other cat,
the
other Jason Lewis. I'm talking about Jason Lewis.
Okay, well, Jason Lewis is not talking. Carrie was doing the talking.
Right. So Jason Lewis, just the other one is a criminal attorney. The one, the first one you mentioned. Jason Lewis runs the unemployment department of New Mexico. And on his LinkedIn page, he's a labor lawyer, not a criminal lawyer. His two favorite people on his LinkedIn page are Justin Trudeau and Bill Gates. His hobbies are animal rights, social action, and human rights. That's the guy who has replaced Andrea Reed, the MAGA prosecutor that we originally were excited about when this thing started, and conversed with Andrea Reed repeatedly and helped her campaign. She, the MAGA person, has been replaced by a George Soros impersonator named Jason Lewis, with how he becomes a special prosecutor. The other one is a criminal attorney, the other one with limited experience. But Jason Lewis is not. He's a labor lawyer, and he was placed in there as a Soros eyes and ears person, in my humble opinion. Go on.
Okay. Anyway, Carrie, the female on the team, was doing the talking, and they essentially have now agreed the preliminary hearing is going to get waived by Hannah, moved to August 9th.
Okay.
So
Nagasaki Day.
Okay. I didn't know that. Anyway, it's moved to August 9th, with the trial being August 22nd.
Okay, I could live with that. They dismissed the Baldwin thing without prejudice, meaning he can be called back. Now, explain to me if you know, because he's crediting his wife, Hilaria, for figuring out that the gun could fire on its own. A debate that we've had on this show for 6 months. Hilaria determined through some sort of investigation, and the prosecution now agrees. The prosecution now agrees, I swear to God, and does the FBI, that the gun could fire without pulling the trigger by using the hammer. This is the new, again, this is the breaking news, the new position of the New Mexico District Attorney's Office, Eric. And we have debated this ad infinitum on this show and other shows with guests, talking about this for 7, 8, 9, 11, 13 months.
On that note, I actually have a informal statement from Seth Kinney, aka a text, that is saying Um, I can paraphrase as you put it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Baldwin's firearm was brand new and unmodified. It was acquired directly from the Italian manufacturer's U.S. importer only days before being sent out on rust.
Right.
It, along with another dozen or so firearms PDQ provided Rust, are in the custody of the Santa Fe County Sheriff. Like Baldwin's, they were brand new and unmodified when PDQ provided them to the Rust production. The FBI, SFCOS will be able to determine that, in addition to previous testing of Baldwin's firearm, the other brand new firearms were never modified and will also function as designed. And he finishes with, "It's not the gun, man."
Okay, I agree with Seth. I agree with Seth. Yeah, no, I'm just saying this is what they're claiming now. This is after a year and a half of all of this stuff, FBI reports, everything else, because how do they get out of this mess politically for him as a leftist, as a communist, as a George Soros acolyte, days before trial? Keep in mind, yesterday this came down. Today he begins shooting Rust again. Literally 24 hours before, and I believe that film, the new pickup, the 4-week shoot, could not have been bonded until this was cleared up. I believe that. Yeah, I believe that film could not have gotten insurance unless this thing was cleared up, because it's 24-hour notice, and all of a sudden they're good to go out in Yellowstone Ranch.
And of course, I love that it's announced on 4/20.
Yeah, well, that's just a joke. I mean, you know.
Well, the whole thing kind of is in some way. It's
a bad political joke. I mean, there's so many screw ups. Are they intentional? It becomes a question. Is it intentional out of the DA's office to get out of this mess that they created? I mean, you got to think to yourself, either they're the most incompetent district attorney's office, just like the Biden administration. Are they incompetent, or is it intentional? That's the only question that's going on nationally on many issues in general, Eric. You know, do you hire a guy who's in charge of nuclear waste, who steals suitcases off of luggage racks intentionally or by accident? You know what I mean? Like, what is that's the question of the year, the decade.
Yeah, no, dude, I hear you. And I am flabbergasted to say, because I was making almost a joke, but my statement was, at the rate they're going, the defense is shredding this so much that he's going to walk away with a traffic ticket. And I was wrong. He didn't even get that much.
He didn't even get a traffic ticket. I mean,
no.
Right. I mean, now the poor girl, and I say the poor girl is being left.
Out there.
Yeah. I mean, you and I talked about this from day one, that she may end up holding the bag in this musical chairs where she doesn't have
no money, no means. I mean,
no money, no means.
Perfect Patsy. She's right. I mean, she's right there. Can't defend herself. I mean, she's got Sleepy with her. Okay, that's her defense.
Right, but she could have piggybacked on Baldwin's defense team, but now they're gone. They're out. Here's the guy, for better or for worse, and this is just my opinion. I just think he should have stood trial. You know what I mean? I don't think he intentionally killed her. I think it was accidental. I think it was an involuntary situation. I don't know what the sentence should have been, but that was up to a jury. That's never going to happen because of political connections and political chicanery. That's what's going on in this country at this time. Everyone knows it on both sides. The fact that this thing disappeared after a year and a half overnight on no technicality, no nothing, just saying the gun could have fired itself. We've got to drop these charges, is preposterous. Everyone in this country knows that this is not the only case that this has happened. This is just the latest case of the double standard of justice that's going on in America today.
Hey, well, you know what? While we're busy, it can't be completely surprised. I mean, we have Cleopatra has now been deemed black. You know that, right?
Well, that's been going on for decades. I mean, that goes back to the 90s. You know, they keep in mind, that goes back to the Black nationalist movement. But my favorite thing was trying to get Ebonics as a language in Oakland school systems in the early 90s. I don't know if people remember that.
I do.
That they pushed back on. That was a bridge too far, apparently. But that may come back around, once they get the reparations of, I don't know, 40 million a person. I don't know what the reparations number is at this point, but, bring it on. Bring it on.
Wow. I'm flabbergasted. Okay, so Baldwin, everything's delayed. Hannah's twisting in the wind. We'll see what's going to happen.
We're going to see what happens there. Yeah, it says, here's the Daily Mail article from this morning. I'll just read you the headline. I owe everything I have to this woman, meaning the foul Spanish-speaking, prosthetic-wearing miniature actress
from Boston, Massachusetts.
Alec Baldwin credits his wife, Hilaria, after involuntary manslaughter charges dropped as new evidence, quote, shows gun could have fired without him pulling the trigger, unquote, directly contradicting the FBI.
Well, I love what new evidence?
They're not saying.
This is magical. It's new evidence. Like I thought of this shit last night. I woke up and it's like, I realized it could happen. Oh, that's new evidence. What the hell?
Well, the new evidence never went to the grand jury. The new evidence never went to the press. The new evidence appeared yesterday. The new evidence has not been disclosed. The new evidence, apparently there's no transparency in the district attorney's office out of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
I know what it is. Cash.
It could be cash, but the reality of it is the woman who was the spokesperson for the DE's office sent me her last memo signing off yesterday and said it's going to be coming out of a different office now. So she signed off. She's gone. I just want to see if I can find this goodbye from her.
Farewell, Mark. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
A deep relationship.
Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Yeah, that's funny, man. They're just tying up the loose ends, Eric. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It is crazy, and I can see the argument in if they just wanted to win, but then they should have done that to begin with if that was their plan, because obviously Hannah was the easiest target for them.
Yeah. Here's the. This is from Jason, who, like I said, who is
so we have Jason Sleepy for Hannah, by the way, and then Jason Bowles. We got two Jasons on this case.
This is Jason Lewis, the guy I told you is Soros labor lawyer. Over the last few days, this is to me. Over the last few days, and in preparation for the May 3rd, 2023 preliminary hearing, new facts, Eric, have revealed that demand further investigation and forensic analysis. Now, keep in mind how long we've waited for this, the absurdity of the length. In the case against Alec Ray, Baldwin III, consequently, we cannot proceed under the current time constraints and on the facts and evidence turned over by law enforcement in its existing form. We therefore will be dismissing the involuntary manslaughter charges against Mr. Baldwin to conduct further investigation. This decision does not absolve Mr. Baldwin of criminal culpability, and charges may be refiled. Our follow-up investigation will remain active and ongoing. Charges against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed remain unchanged. No further statements, Eric, at this time.
I got a question for you on this.
Yeah.
If we're going to use the magic gun that fired itself principle, then wouldn't it apply for her as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would. The whole thing would apply for her.
Charged.
I have no idea.
Poor Dave Halls is going to be Dave Halls is getting more punished than the guy who pulled the trigger.
Well, here's another. I got an email from my girl down there who is been sending me these Heather Brewer emails since Andrea Reed was down there replaced. April 20th from Heather. Effective immediately, Mark. All media inquiries on the Russ case should be directed to media@jjlaw.com. That's Jason and his friends over there. So something happened. And I don't know what it is. Do you, Mr. Jones from Ballad of a Thin Man by Bob Dylan? Okay, I just want to we'll get into some other stuff at this time. But anyway, I just thought, that was kind of interesting.
All right. You're usually more up on this than I am, but did you see this earlier about the ex-CIA chief saying, Blinken and
Biden
I did. Coordinated with us to
I did see that.
get that
Yeah.
letter put together for Biden.
Okay, so that's Mike Morrell, by the way. He used to be I know this cat. He used to be a frequent guest on Charlie Rose before Charlie Rose was canceled. Mike Morrell used to come on, very sketchy, weird dude who was a deep state operative. He was always assistant director of the CIA. I think he was acting director for a couple of months at one point. So this is highly unusual for Mike Morrell, who is a deep state actor, to come out and say this. So I don't know which side to root for here, Godzilla or Rodan. But something's going on within the agency itself. There seems to be a schism, is my historic analysis.
Well, and I've known there's always been one with like Tom. I can't say a name. Anyway, I know of an agent who said that there's one who's kind of straight down the line, and they hate these other people. Anyway,
yeah, there seems to be some schism, and Morrell's old school CIA is all I can tell you. Not that he's not, a maniac, but I'm just saying he seems to be on another side of the old CIA.
Or it could be a message saying, "Okay, Biden, enjoy your one term. You're a one-termer."
Everything that's going to happen is going to happen this week because he's going to announce. So whatever they're throwing at him, that's why you're hearing about Hunter this week, to try to put the last fear of God into him. 6 ways to Sunday, as Chuck Schumer famously said. This is their last chance, other than him dying after announcing, and then having second thoughts, which can also happen, other than him announcing and then having health issues in September, which could happen. It looks like he's going to announce.
Should be interesting.
Right. Now, somebody else apparently announced this week.
Well, one person announced that they're not doing, and that was Junction, the governor of Virginia.
Oh, he's out. I didn't know that. He's out. He was in and he's out. Okay.
He's sort of, I think he was like tiptoeing in. And
yeah.
I think that they couldn't get beyond like 1% internally, and he was like, "Oh, I'm here to help the state and to get blah 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 blah." So he's just towing the line.
Okay.
And the weird thing is, a Virginia governor, they have term limits, 1 term. That's all the governor can do.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's brilliant.
So it makes sense that they be trying to do the next thing.
You got to try something as soon as you get in,
right? Or get your career at Fox or whatever he's going to do. I'm not sure, but it makes sense. He's out. I don't know about who else is announcing at this point.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of people out here. Larry Elder, the black conservative talk show
host.
Announced? Oh yeah, and he's for real. He announced, and he's got name recognition. He's got a radio show. He ran for governor.
Killed for governor.
Well, I don't know if he got killed, but he ran against Newsom here as a candidate for governor. So he's not an unknown figure, Larry Elder.
No, I like Larry. I mean, it goes away, but I don't see him going anywhere.
Well, he's not running against Newsom. He's running in the Republican primary.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. I mean, do you think he's going to pull anything off? Yes, he's got name recognition, but I don't see him making any dent in Trump at all.
My political gut tells me he would make a wonderful black VP for Trump.
Sure.
Think about that, my friend.
Think
about black males for Trump, how they've been rolling over onto Trump's bandwagon for the past 3 or 4 or 5 years. Elder can really tap into that.
That would be usul. Yes.
Thank you. And it would also it would also divide the Democratic base, which is, like I said, the power base comes from black women. It could separate the women for Kamala Harris and the men for Larry Elder. And he could go on a debate stage with Kamala Harris, and I would pay to see that. That would be, Larry Elder can slay any man or woman in a debate. I mean, wow.
Well, he's the one who flipped Dave Rubin.
That's right. He flipped Dave Rubin. That's right. From
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, so
no. Larry Elder is like a black Ben
He's
Shapiro.
Like a young Thomas Sowell, almost a young Thomas Sowell.
Well, just happen to be both black, but I'm saying for verbal skills of debating, he's at the level of Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, very sharp dude.
Yeah,
been around the block, hard to get a hold of.
Now we're going to get up to the Democratic nominee at this point, who announced the other day. happens to be the son of Robert Kennedy.
Oh, yes, yes.
Senior, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who announced in Massachusetts, in his hometown. It's kind of a mixed bag. He had a,
on a Twitter space, it seemed.
Yeah, it was a Twitter space, and also, well, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of censored him and is suing everyone for the censorship. So where is he supposed to go other than the Twitter space protected by Musk at this point? I mean, he's suing Facebook. He's involved in a number of censorship lawsuits. So yeah, I mean, they have successfully boxed him out. I mean, even the local news here, it was like the 10th story right before the sports the night he announced, and he lives in Malibu. I mean, he's a California resident. He announced in Massachusetts because of the Kennedy tradition. But one thing, there was a couple of things I just want to say about RFK Jr., who I know, through the Sirhan pardon process. He's a righteous dude, and he's done a lot in the vaccine space for years, a lot in the environmental space. He's not an environmental maniac. He's a pragmatic, environmental, hands-on, on-the-ground cleanup guy in terms of environmental activity for many, many years. And the vax thing speaks for itself. The Fauci book is unbelievable. I recommend it to everyone that he wrote on Fauci. He's written a bunch of books. He's very well read and written. That being said, there was some disturbing things that he said. And one of them was his backing of the Ukraine in the war against Russia. And I just was taken aback by this because nobody knows conspiracy more than RFK Jr. I mean, he realized that his father wasn't killed by Sirhan. He quickly, was able to pivot to Thane Eugene Caesar, which is what we've discussed and I've discussed and written about for many years. He went to Sirhan's jail cell and came out and said, even famously before that on Charlie Rose, that his uncle JFK was killed by a conspiracy led by the CIA. So for him to come out and talk about Putin as an aggressor in this war against innocent Ukraine, I kind of almost threw up in my own mouth. And then it turns out his son Connor went over there as a soldier of fortune and became a machine gunner, killing Russians, and he's proud of his son going over as a legionnaire, as a foreign legion guy who went over and became first a drone operator and then a machine gunner with the Ukrainian army, killing Russians. And he came back just the other day and he said he was getting credit card receipts out of Ukraine and Poland, from what I heard privately, from his son Connor, who didn't tell him what he was doing. He didn't ask for his permission, nor did he tell him that he was doing this. But he's apparently proud of his son going over and fighting as a soldier of fortune. So kind of a mixed bag of ideas he laid out the other day.
Almost very anti-Kennedy. He definitely
I know.
Against his dad. I mean, that's his dad was an anti-Vietnam guy. And
and then there's Bobby Kennedy III, his other son, who married a CIA operative and had a wedding with a CIA officer. That just blew my mind 3 years ago, or whatever it was, 5 years ago. And he's apparently not the brightest of the Kennedys, and married a CIA agent. I mean, so now they've infiltrated literally into the Kennedy family, married into it. And she was doing TED Talks, the chick, saying how great it was to be a CIA agent, overthrowing governments and going around the world and doing nefarious things as a CIA agent. Now she married this doofus Kennedy, which I find hard to believe that they would embrace her or marry a CIA operative into that family where the father is saying they killed my father and uncle. It's okay. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. That's
so. What are you
saying.
Going to do on it? Because I know you were actually thinking about
I offered to volunteer for him, but now it's become apparent to me. First of all, there's two things. One, it's I symbolically support him. I don't agree with everything he says, but that's okay. I don't need to agree with every single thing Trump says. I don't need to agree with everything anybody says.
Sure.
It was just a little disheartening to hear this stuff on the day you're running all these oddball things. Now, he's got an incredibly easy history to destroy. I mean, he is like living in a glass house, Bobby Kennedy Jr., with his heroin addiction and his arrests when he was a kid and, a bunch of other crap that he was involved in as a youth. And his wife hanging herself and his womanizing, and I mean, there's a lot of baggage that could easily dismantle him. So I don't know if he's on a death mission or what, to do this. I credit him for having huge balls at this point in his life. At 69, he'll be 70 next year. Biden's 80. It's just a 10-year gap between the 70 and 80-year-old presidential candidates. And obviously Trump is an elder statesman as well.
How old is Elder? Well, we're talking about Elder.
Larry Elder, I think, is in his mid-60s, early 60s. Yeah.
So he's a young one. God.
Yeah. So as for, Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s health, I think he's in great health. So it's not a debate. But, I mean, they could push a button and dismantle him as a candidate in 5 seconds. I don't know. Like I said, his only road to victory is Biden bowing out or dying. Then it opens up the field like it happened with his father in 1968 when LBJ bailed out, LBJ being the equivalent of Joe Biden, like we discussed last week. In many, many ways, the Biden crime family is similar to the LBJ crime mafia that he had. There's a lot of overlap in the two presidents. And unless Biden bails out, I do not see a road to victory within the Democratic Party. I mean, the only way that this guy could ever achieve any kind of presidential success would be to team up with Trump as the two, anti-deep state candidates, which a lot of people on Twitter, at least on my feed, have been saying they would vote for in a second of a Trump Kennedy ticket.
I can't see that though. I mean,
I don't know about seeing it. I'm just saying people said it's a no-brainer.
Well, people would love to.
Right. So of course you can't do that because that's what the people actually want.
But somebody in the chat was pointing something out here. Kiki Rose about Vivek. That could be another VP candidate for Trump, technically.
Never going to happen. Never going to happen. The name's too bizarre. He's from India. It's just not going to work. I mean, Nikki Haley is not going to work. Larry
she
Elder
could have worked, but she pissed him off.
Right. Even she's, sketchy, in terms of being a rhino and some other. This guy's name's unpronounceable. It's just a media thing. He's a good guy. He's sharp. I'm not knocking the guy. I'm just saying, I mean, if his name was Joe Smith, he'd have a better shot. Names mean a lot in presidential politics. You really need short, blunt names. Clinton, Bush, Trump. There's something psychologically to it. Sure. It's hard to sell that cat. He doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. And I mean that physically and psychologically, I mean, and he's not, I saw him with Don Lemon the other day, and Lemon just played the race card in front of a brown man. I mean, it was kind of awkward, but I'm watching this going, Don Lemon is like saying, don't lecture me as an African-American on the history of the Civil War. And what is he, an expert? Was he Ken Burns or something? He's an expert on clothing, I think, in a gay community, but I don't know.
He's an expert on grabbing waiters.
Right.
Lies, from what I understand.
Right. But an expert on the Civil War, what the Indian American guy was saying was African Americans were able to achieve their Second Amendment rights after the Civil War when they were fully granted all their rights. And one of the rights, this is what I gathered from the guy, was the Second Amendment. So, of course, Lemon interpreted that to mean they were given Second Amendment rights and then they got guns and some other mumbo jumbo. I couldn't really follow Don Lemon's thing, but.
Well, I mean, you weren't looking for logic there, were you?
No, but the bluster of the race card against another person of color, I found that to be. He said, "I'm black, you're brown." And I'm going like, okay.
It's so backward though that I can see Don Lemon saying that to Larry Elder.
Right, but that would be even better.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, what was it? They called him like the black face of the white supremacy.
When he was running against. The LA Times did that.
I mean, they're just.
Well, they do that with Candace Owens too, and that's a common phrase.
They're brazen about it, or what it would be the right term. I mean, it's breathtaking, or whatever. I've given up on it. But speaking of interesting things, this is Vice, which is speaking of CIA.
CIA,
but
Vice.
It's interesting to see, but DeSantis finds out being an asshole has its downsides when you're running for president.
What is that, from the Babylon Bee or from Vice?
It's Vice. And
Okay.
apparently he went to go talk to donors and nobody's showing up.
Oh, that's sad. It's really sad.
And I guess that
I have
people
never
are getting
seen
revenge.
I have never seen a political suicide like this in my life. Of this man who has hit his peak running the state of Florida and could write his own ticket in 4 years, throwing himself onto grenades to blow himself to smithereens, Eric.
Well, here's the catch point here. I sat right next to DeSantis for 2 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee. He never said a single word to me. Emailed. I was new to Congress. He didn't introduce himself or even say hello. So it's like they're rolling him out. So the Republicans are trashing him. Everybody's trashing him.
Again, I don't know. And he's going to announce this week, according to his office, he's going to announce his run for the presidency this week. DeSantis. I mean, Trump has, I think it's at some point in these new polls, like a 30 to 40 point lead over him. So I'm not sure what exactly, other than committing political Harry-carry. My new word is Harry-carry. I'm not going to get.
Oh, that's what you said. You did say the S.
No, you didn't catch it, Hunley. You didn't catch it.
I barely can control you.
Right. Tell him what he's won, Bob. Time to subscribe
God.
when you hear the bell.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Harry-carry.
All right, so since we're going to be demonetized anyways, thank you, Harold, for helping keep us alive. Fox is from Terrell, Texas. Okay,
what is that? A block away or something? Or
I have no idea. Dan Smith from Hong Kong. Long live Nookie Nation. Baldwin is guilty as hell.
Okay.
And I'm not your buddy guy. Who knew inanimate objects could act on their own?
Well, I think the Hammer, MC Hammer, because it's Hammer time, was fanned by Baldwin, and what difference does it make, trigger or fanning hammer?
Allegedly, but
allegedly.
Mr. Mike, obviously they're intentionally incompetent.
Okay, well that might be a phrase. That might be a phrase. I don't know. Might be an idea, a philosophy on their side that does that.
I'm actually confused by this because Dustin
Russell.
A second.
What happened to Dustin Russell there? Yeah.
Well, I was about to tell you. He's asking a serious question. I'm confused. Any future episodes planned on Georgia Tan, America child trafficker who operated in the Tennessee Children's Home Society and Adoption Agency in Memphis, Tennessee, involving several celebrities? I've never heard of it.
I don't know anything about it, but I'll look into it.
Yeah.
What kind of name is Tan? What is that?
I don't know. Harold is a new member.
There's always a guy named Harold every week who's a new member. Is this the same guy every week?
I don't know.
I just want to point out there's a group in Massachusetts on the East Coast called the Tire Extinguishers. This is a leftist climate change terror group that goes around taking the air out of tires of people's SUVs. And they were celebrating. They took out the air on all 4 tires on 140 cars in Massachusetts and outside of Boston yesterday or over the weekend or something. And that's their terrorist guerrilla climate change actions, as the French underground version of whatever they're doing for climate change. Apparently, the SUV is now the symbol of anti-climate change. The SUV itself. So the
Hummer was for a while. So
right, but SUVs are so ubiquitous. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of different models of SUVs.
Oh, sure.
And they have declared war. They may issue a manifesto, not unlike a guy named the Unabomber, who issued an environmental manifesto back in the day.
Yes, who was treated by Jolly West and.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of manifestos, where is the Audrey Hale manifesto, Eric, from what you understand?
I don't know. Other manifestos seem to come out. Body cam footage came out instantly. That was super fast. But manifesto, not so much.
Not so fast on that manifesto, my friend.
No, a little bit slow.
I think, what I think they have, and I'd like to get a job doing this, manifesto rewriters. Guys who come in to punch up.
Well, dude, you have Chat GPT now. You'd be like, hey, write me a manifesto saying this. Boop. Okay, done. Come out in 10 seconds.
Right. Good point.
Why not? Okay, Improper is saying that I made an error with Matt Walsh's thing. Again, I don't know. I was hearing it secondhand.
I don't
They're
know
saying
anything
that
about it.
that hacker is actually sending the messages or saying it, and not Matt Walsh. I don't know. I'll have to find out more later. I don't know all the details. That's why I said that I was hearing about it, but I have not read it.
That's interesting. There's a guy named Nicholas Rossi over in England, Eric, who goes by the name of Arthur Knight. And Nicholas Rossi, I don't know how to explain this, from Rhode Island, was charged with sexual assault and battery on a woman in 2008. The charges didn't come till like 2019, of course. But better late than never, without any statute of limitations anymore. So apparently he died of some bizarre cause. I'm not really sure how he died, but he has resurfaced in Scotland as Arthur Knight with a wife in a wheelchair with oxygen, claiming that he's not Nicholas Rossi, and the United States Department of Justice is demanding him be extradited from Liverpool or wherever he is, not Liverpool, I think he's in Scotland, to the United States to stand trial as Nicholas Rossi. In fact, he showed up on a media event yesterday and attempted to stand up out of his wheelchair and fell back down to show that he couldn't walk, and indeed was a disabled man named Arthur Knight with a wife, Mrs. Knight, who also showed up. I don't know if this is just for our British viewers. And
that's something that probably could be proved out pretty quickly.
I know.
It's DNA or something.
I know. It's a pretty interesting case because he kind of looks like the guy, and he's still wearing a disguise, and he has a very bad, phony British accent. I'll just leave it at that for our viewers at home and those in the United Kingdom and Scotland.
Is there any of an interview he's done or anything?
Oh yeah.
You'll have to send that later. That would be a good thing for the behavior panel to check out.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Is he really him or not? Yeah, okay.
Now, there was also, you'd appreciate this, there was also a marathon yesterday called the GP Ultras race, which is a marathon in England, Great Britain. And it went from a town to Liverpool. And the woman who came in third place, a veteran marathon runner, took the third place trophy in this marathon that ended up in Liverpool. Unfortunately, they had to take away her trophy because at some point in the marathon, she took an Uber ride to the next location. Eric's all hopped up.
No, that's old school. That's old school.
Eric loves this. Eric just loves this.
Oh yeah, Tour de France.
She took an Uber, and she said she, took the Uber. She didn't mean to get the trophy. She was just so tired that she took the Uber, and she didn't pass. She said, to her credit, she refused to pass the second and first place runners at that time during the race. So she said, I could have done that. I didn't. Took the Uber, got out, finished the race in third place, got the trophy, and went back to Australia, where she came from. She's since been stripped of the trophy, and the fourth place person was given the third place trophy. But this is my chutzpah act of the week. The marathoner in Liverpool who Ubered as far as she could when she ran out of gas physically. She got into a gas-powered Uber and asked to be taken to the finish line.
Well, it's a modern version. Rosie Ruiz either did a train or a bus. I can't remember which one it was, but she did that, I think, to win the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, she came in through the bushes later on. She intersectioned in later. There's footage of her running in from the outside after she took mass transit. But anyway, this was the latest in that. And also, don't forget, True the Vote, which we covered a while back, the arrest of Eugene Yu by George Gascon. He was a guy in Michigan who had stolen the voting records and sent them back to the central office in communist China out of Michigan. He was arrested, not physically arrested, but he was arrested in absentia by George Gascon and released. He was physically arrested, released, and then fled back to China. And the two people cooperating with the FBI on the case, who were the whistleblowers, were from this conservative organization called True the Vote. And those two people, the corporation, the CEO of it was called Conic, and Eugene Yu ran a voting, not unlike Dominion, but it was called Conic. He was the one who took the information electronically and shipped it towards the Communist Party in China. So he fled back to China, and the people who were cooperating with the FBI who brought this to their attention were Kathy Engelbrecht and Greg Phelps from True the Vote. The judge in the case, which started a day after the revelations, the case started a day after the arrest, said, I want all your sources of where you got the information, and they didn't want to give it up as journalists. So they were jailed, if you recall, briefly for 10 days to 14 days. I don't know the exact amount of time. They were released, and then they have now become the target of the FBI, who they were cooperating with today. And Yu has fled back to China the day after the midterm elections. George Gascon, the district attorney of Los Angeles, dropped all charges against Yu with no explanation, Eugene Yu. Just so people keep up to date on this Chinese Communist Party voter interference election story out of Michigan and Los Angeles, California, where the Conic Corporation was running the elections here. I tip of the hat because of Dominion today is why I brought this back up.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah.
Hey, we got some tips in locals. Otto sent a tip saying, knowing Baldwin wanted Russ to be his Unforgiven, I'm calling him the Duck of Death from now on.
Oh, the Duke or Duck of Death. That's right. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, he did. It was a type of Unforgiven. Yeah. Which is one of the great Western if you want to see it this week.
Oh, it's great.
Clint Western. Eastwood, of course. And Gene Hackman.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant one. Working title saying possible VPs for Trump, Elder, Black, Kerry, Woman, and Vivek, Indian.
What does that mean?
Just talking about all three.
He's saying they can't be, or because
they're good possible candidates.
Oh, right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
he's right. He's right.
Which, it's kind of annoying though, because it's like you're stepping right into that diversity trap bullshit intersectionality.
Right, but you also undermine it. You kind of undermine it and drive a stake through it at the same time, which is more important. I mean, it's not really doing that. If you come out and say, I'm a person of color and I'm against diversity and all this crazy crap, that's who has to say it. They're not going to listen to me. I mean, it's got to come from that's why I like watching Candace Owens, and I like watching Larry Elder, and I like watching Black conservatives, because they're able to speak from a high moral perch. Yeah.
I mean, I know you love Candace Owens. I'm always going to be a little hesitant with her because of her background. It's Red Pill Black and her doxing
I'm sorry.
Business. Oh, whatever.
Okay. There was a story I sent you yesterday, which just to understand where this climate change stuff comes from and how Hollywood works. There is a group called the Blacklist out here, and it's basically a screenplay contest every year. They publish the best unproduced screenplays every year that they have a contest that are unproduced. And it's spiraled out of control for a number of years because it's been rigged. But anyway, the 2024 Climate Storytelling Fellowship submissions are now open, Eric. And this is a new one on me. They now are requesting or seeking for $20,000 grant to 3 writers to support revision of a feature screenplay or pilot that engages with climate change in a compelling way through actions, events, character emotions, plot, and or setting. And it's not, this is how Hollywood works. This is what I'm trying to explain to people, the internal mechanism of how Hollywood creates the propaganda that you're going to see on the screen. Now they're making it into a contest to get screenplays for different political causes. They used to do this behind the scenes. Now it's out in front. They're actually paying you if you win this thing. You should be a credited professional screenwriter with an interest in climate storytelling. You should be a climate story consultant, rewrite the future program to advise on effective approaches to climate storytelling. After receiving these consultations, fellows have 6 months to complete the revision of their script. Revised scripts may be reviewed for development by prominent studios, agencies, and production companies, including CAA, Hyper Object Industries, NBC Universal, Participant, United Talent Agency, and the William Morris Endeavor Agency. Anyway, it goes on and on and on. I just wanted to point out that this is now a new brazen attempt to create leftist propaganda movies just about climate change. There's other ones about other subjects, but they will probably generate hundreds of scripts that people are going to write just on this subject, trying to win the money.
Oh, you should write one just for giggles.
Right.
Okay, so let me see. We got some more tips in here. Steely Fan sent a $5 tip. Great channel, guy. Thanks. Otto wants to know if there are any thoughts about the SpaceX rapid unscheduled disassembly yesterday.
I mean, it's probably a technical problem. I mean, how many rockets have blown up? I don't read that much into that because he has successfully launched other rockets. And
not only launched them, he actually landed the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
I mean, I have not launched a car into space playing David Bowie music.
Which was pretty awesome, man.
Right. I mean, I can't really... judge a man whose one or two rockets blows up, when you've launched a car into space, sitting there with a mannequin playing David Bowie music. It's a little bit, beyond me, but maybe they could subscribe at this time when they hear the bell.
Good idea. All right. Let's see. I don't even know what to think about this, but Gary W. is claiming that Ted Kaczynski was also likely the Zodiac Killer. No, same MO, even the handwriting matched, and has a manifesto.
Sorry.
It seems unlikely to me. But.
Sorry, that dog won't hunt. Sorry.
I did see somebody putting out something, and I don't know for sure. I don't know anything about it, but I was like, that'll be interesting. Claiming that the Zodiac Killer didn't even really exist. It was multiple crimes and people writing letters in claiming it. And I could actually see that happening.
There's always copycat stuff like that in every one of these high profile cases. And the cops are hip to that. They usually weed it out. That happens in every single serial killer high profile case, from what I understand from the cops. That being said, David Fincher lives around the corner from me, who directed Zodiac.
All right. Well, there you go.
As does Jack Black, who apparently now is the king of Mandalorian with Lizzo, the ultra heavyweight fat chick, who is now the queen next to Jack Black's king in the Mandalorian, the new Mandalorian. So that was disgusting.
Okay. I've given up on Star Wars movies. I just released
the other Mandalorian, when it had
no, it's great. The Favreau with Gina
right. Yeah,
no, it was great.
It was good. It was like
there was hope for Star Wars, but now there's going to be another Star Wars movie. Rey is a feature, and the director proudly claims how she likes to make men uncomfortable. So here you go.
Well, she just made me comfortable, so I'm not going to watch it.
Yep. Well, and there you go. Neither will. Let me see. Star Wars has an 89% male audience, and she likes to make men uncomfortable.
That's a good idea.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, Carano is fantastic in the one that I saw in season 2, I guess it was, or 1 and 2. I forget where. I kind of bailed
she was
out.
great in that. Yeah,
she was fantastic. Yeah.
And by the way, is it just me, or doesn't she represent everything that feminists, the hardcores are supposedly wanting? A strong woman who is like Gina Carano kicked my ass. I mean,
oh yeah. Well, Biden is trying to alter Title IX women's sports right now.
Of course he is.
Yeah, with this new revision of Title IX. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but it's kind of split the women's community, sports community, down the middle. There's a woman at ESPN who came out against transgendered men in women's sports yesterday, and they seems to have split ESPN. Maybe she'll be fired by 5 o'clock today, for all I know. But yesterday, her name was Snowden or something. I forget, something like that. And she has come out and against she's now with what's her name, Riley Gaines, the women's swimmer, who has been on the forefront of this. So we'll see what happens with ESPN because they're so woke, ESPN, that this is a big story.
Gee, you mean ESPN, who's owned by Disney?
Disney, yeah, the Pedo Film Studios. We're going to change the name to Pedo Studios, but they already had Disney. So
yeah, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? From what I hear, might be Anti-Semite Studios too.
Is that true?
Yeah, well, Walt. There were questions about Walt and his relationship.
Oh, yeah, he was. Walt was working undercover for the FBI for many years, supposedly outing communists. But who knows? Snitches still get stitches.
Yeah. Let me see. We've got another couple tips in here that came in. New Nashville shooter. I got to be careful. Whatever I say. Mm-hmm. Audrey Hale's manifesto is described as a, quote, blueprint on total destruction and astronomically dangerous. The FBI is stalling.
Can't be released ever. It can't be released. We're going to have to disarm like Australia immediately because of this. I recommend
you read
everything.
It and your mind goes, right? The words are so powerful that people will see it and just go. And
not only that, she was the Hemingway of transgendered shooting manifestos. So very powerful writer, and it could have an influence on many students around the world because of her writing skills. So who knows? It has to be suppressed, I would say, for 75 years, just speaking off the top of my head. Maybe it'll be released in 75 years.
Wow. Crazy. And by the way, Nate did send me a link to the Wired article that talks about the hacker, Matt Walsh, and who did what or whatever. So I'm going to drop that in the chat for people who are yelling about the situation and sort it out. I'll read it later.
Somebody asked me on Twitter what Locals was, and I said it was a free speech platform. I gave her the link, and I said there are documents you could join for free, but I said there's also valuable documents up there and books that are out of print that you can have access to for $5 a month. Eric, is that true?
Yeah, membership on Locals is $5 a month, but it is. I really encourage everybody to please just follow for free. It costs you nothing to follow us. You can look around. There's a ton of stuff that we're putting up. This show will be on there. We're streaming it. It's not on Rumble today, but it's on Locals. And
I mean, we had a copyright violation on that song last week, but it's there on Locals and Rumble. They took us down on YouTube once again for the 4 millionth time. Because Phil Oak's song that we ran.
We don't even run the whole song, folks. We run, it's like the wrong.
We don't even have the time. Yeah.
No, I deliberately do it. I don't do too much because it's supposed to whet your appetite to go.
There must be people outside just waiting, listening by the door, and they go, "They did it again, boys." It's
algorithm, and it tags them, and they just boom, take it. I'm just glad they didn't block it. It's like okay.
It was a ballad of Billy Sol Estes, which is a great song by Phil Oakes.
Yep. Oh, somebody's saying the Rumble stream is up. Okay.
All right.
Good.
Wow. Oh, you know what I had the other night? I hadn't had in a long time, and I mean a long time. KFC. Haven't had. I swear to God, I don't know what I haven't had in. I want to say 10 years. And me and my friend said, let's get some KFC, and I went, okay. That sounds sketchy, but it was delicious. It was just got the little sides, with the little mashed potatoes, the little macaroni, the little coleslaw, the bucket. It was so decadent. It was beautiful.
Now, did you get the original or crispy?
I didn't see that come up. Oddly enough, I didn't see that as an option. Maybe they've changed that policy. I don't know.
Interesting.
But the size of the pieces of chicken were like this big. I mean, they were huge. I mean, I don't even know how they fit in the bucket.
All right, so they were the injected.
You know what? Why don't we do an episode on Colonel Sanders one time? I think that's an American.
Oh, he's a wild dude.
Yeah, okay, all right. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
This is a side note, but you made me think of something when you're talking about the size of the chicken and all that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Costco and their rotisserie chicken problem?
No.
Okay, Costco famously had a $5 rotisserie chicken, and people would go to Costco, have their memberships is a big damn deal.
Okay.
Well, they couldn't actually afford to maintain it because it was costing more money. So Costco actually bought chicken farms to maintain the rotisserie chicken.
That's a good idea.
It's interesting though that they actually
did
that
that's a good idea.
Keep that going. Anyway, just a side note with the chicken. I've got more super chats. Dan Hack wants to buy you a comb. I know you've never heard that before.
I don't understand what you're talking about. It's just bizarre to me. I have a professional hairstylist from Beverly Hills, and I guess in Iowa, where Dan Hack is from, people just have crew cuts and they're like 1950s military thing. But good luck with that look, Dan.
Let's see, Carol Spillman with the super sticker. Thank you very much. Michael Banning, tell RFK Jr. to watch his 6. These guys are ruthless. Thanks, Mad Dog Mike.
I mean, who knows it more than him? I mean, for the love of God, I mean, nobody knows it more than him. He lost his uncle and his father, for Christ's sake. I mean, nobody has to tell
I
RFK
honestly
Jr.
can't see that happening again. I cannot. Not with him. What you just said, there's many other ways to destroy him or to target him or assassinate him, just like they did with Clinton. I think that Nixon was the new form. More effective.
I hope so.
Well, yes. God.
I hope so. I remember a guy jumping on stage a couple of times running after Trump during the campaign, if you recall, Eric, when he was giving speeches.
Well, there are actual lone nutters. I mean, our friend up the road, I'm going to assume was possibly a nutter. But I don't know.
Well, he I don't even want to get into it, but you're talking about the cat painter?
Yes, cat painter.
Cat painter.
T-shirt merchant. Yes, cat painter,
right.
T-shirt merchant.
He had no connections to anything. He was just a random dude wandering aimlessly.
I mean, other than his parents in the dinner the night before.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, what could his connection possibly be to the Bush family? John Hinckley's father.
Yeah, well, hey.
That could be an episode.
Well, I assume we are going to go through all of them eventually.
Gotta hurry up, Hunley. I don't know how long I got. You got to keep moving on these stories.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, we got McKinley.
Well, you could subscribe.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely good idea, actually, on that note. Well, we'll just leave that up there for a minute.
Yeah.
Carl Burkhalter, U.S. General Hurlbut ordered all blacks to sign labor contracts with union-controlled plantations before the 13th Amendment. The North needed cotton.
I never heard of that.
Okay.
I mean, how did they went around getting blacks in the North to sign contracts? I don't understand how this would work.
Well, union control, I mean...
You're talking about union-controlled plantations during the war?
Well, it could be because Kentucky and Maryland, deep, dark secret, they both allowed slaves and they were North. Remember that.
Right. So they signed this thing and then went to a cotton factory or something, or to they.
I'm not sure.
I've never heard of General Hurlbut, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't know the full details of that.
Yeah,
obviously,
I'm gonna look into it. Oh, there's a remember to subscribe thing, Hunley. It just came up by accident.
Yeah, it's sneaking in there. Here's my climate change script. 3 scientists fly to the sun and attempt to convince it to stop affecting our climate.
Ooh, didn't we do that with Bruce Willis? Wasn't that one? There was, or that was
Armageddon. There was a meteor or asteroid.
Right. We usually have that. Those were the old climate change movies where there was a scientist, his daughter was hot. There was a guy who went up in a rocket, and eventually in the background they said climate change may have caused that. Apparently that's not enough anymore. For an action film, they just said, climate change might have caused this tidal wave. What was the other one? There was where the ocean rose and
oh, dude, it
tons of them.
No, it gets crazy when they talk about the claims for climate change and what it causes. I mean, like they're saying terrorism. I mean, they roll everything out.
Well, no, today he signed a presidential order, Brandon, about housing and climate change and how it affects minority neighborhoods, how they have to be warned first if there is like a train derailment of chemicals.
Unless they're in a red district. Then nobody gives a shit.
And then nobody gives a shit.
Just die. We'll set it on fire and let it go in the air. Have a good time there. Let me see. Aaron Anderson, how about an episode on Columbine? I've never believed the official story.
Yeah, it's been done to death, bro. It's been done a lot. I'm sorry.
It's not kind of our thing.
We're trying to find some really obscure crap.
Let me see. Roger LaRue, $2 sticker, I think. Thank you. And Rolf Peterson's back. There was a woman he knew about a year or so ago. She had something that he needed, and he pleaded with her not to go. On the day she left, he died, but it did not show. Step aside, open wide. It's the loner.
What is that about?
I have no idea.
Some lyrics to a song.
But thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. There's some
thank you for
lyrics.
the sawbuck.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, he's got this. Hold on. He's got the thing up. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. There we go. Jonathan G94 said, heard of the DOJ charging a black leftist group for dissenting on the Ukraine war?
Yeah. They are a communist black organization, I believe, in Chicago, extreme leftists, and they are opposed to the war. And this is an awkward one. This is, one of these man bites dog stories. It kicked up a number of months ago when the war first started. They came out against the war, and they're like a communist Black Panther type group. I haven't dug deep into their manifesto, but I think they were indicted today. And then there was the Green Beret who was sentenced to 7 years for trespassing January 6th. He got 7 years sentence. They raided his house because that's what happens when you trespass in a park or a national park. They always raid your house. And there he apparently had some old classified. Now, keep in mind, classified documents are not secret and they're not top secret, right, Eric?
Correct.
Okay, so my mother had recipes for kugel that were considered classified documents by the U.S. government. That's how low classified is.
Let me get technical.
Okay.
Actually, no. Classified can be secret or top secret. They're forms of classification. There's confidential, which is the lower level. I
think these were confidential is what I'm getting at, the lower level. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there are higher levels, right? I mean,
well, yeah. There's classified secret, classified top
wanted
secret.
That recipe, but she wouldn't give it up, the kugel recipe, and
and that's back to KFC. They have their trade.
Recipe. That's right. And Coca-Cola. We did the episode on Coke. Mm-hmm. With their recipe that they changed to New Coke to their own discredit, and then put it back.
Very true. And somebody, here we go. Amanda Jean wanted to point out that Ben Affleck was also in Armageddon.
That's right.
All right. Let me see. Oh, he was sharing The Loner by Neil Young.
I don't know that song by Neil Young, but I never heard of that one. Neil Young put out some very strange albums to destroy his contract with a particular label. If you remember, he put out an electronic music album.
He and Lou Reed did that crap too, because Lou Reed did like Metal Machine music, and I don't know if it's contract disputes, but it's a thing.
No, that was Lou Reed's real thing. But this one
this is crazy.
I mean, Berlin was a real album by Lou Reed. It's hard to listen to, but Neil Young put out like electronic dance music albums as a joke, and to eat up the amount of albums he had to do as a contractual obligation,
which is smart. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you want an album, you're gonna here you go,
right?
Eat it,
right. But he didn't win the Spotify war with Joe Rogan, sadly.
No, that shit was funny because I think his stuff was back up on Spotify like a week and a half later.
Yeah,
just quietly, because it's not like he can decide it anyway. The guy sells his catalog and then he makes all these statements, and it's like, what are you gonna do?
1,000 points of light.
Yeah, whatever. Okay. Jonathan G94 said the Ray movie is fake. Kathy Kennedy is desperately making her last stand. Even the Hollywood trades are calling out the fake Ray movie. Wait.
What? The what movie is fake?
That Star Wars I was talking about. He's claiming it's fake. That the trades are saying it's fake. I don't know.
What do you mean by fake? I'm talking about The Mandalorian.
No. I was talking about the movie with the new director.
Oh, that I don't know.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Anyway. They say, by the way, the latest Mandalorian season wasn't bad besides the whole Lizzo episode.
Okay.
Okay,
I've heard that too. To be fair, I've heard that also.
Well, and there's the other show that Barnes loves. That's a Star Wars show. I
don't know. I don't know.
But anyway, let me see. Norman Mailer made a career out of Jack Henry Abbott. That was from Otto.
I don't know. He didn't make a career out of Jack Henry Abbott. He put it out. He did he did a book on it, but he got him out of jail. But he didn't make a career.
Yeah, there wasn't more of an embarrassment on him. I don't know if
I didn't make a career out of it.
Probably ruined or harmed his career. I would think. Let me see. Working title. When it comes to feminism, I pay attention to Camille Paglia. Is that a mistake on my part?
No, in fact, that's a very good source. Yeah, I would go with her too. Oh, by the way, Mercury goes into retrograde tonight, April 22nd, tomorrow. What's today? The 20th, Eric, or the 21st? So tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow Mercury goes into retrograde until the middle of May. So for the people who know what that means, be advised. And also, there's the Barnes Riverboat Gambling Birthday Party in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Night. If tickets are still available, you might want to go down there and see Viva and Barnes on board. Yeah, the SS, whatever that ship is down there. That might be a fun event.
Oh, it sure will be. I guess he's bought out the entire boat. That'd be pretty cool.
Right. That's a go. They used to have this blues cruise around New York. They would take the circus line. What was it called? The circle line. And they would buy it out and make it into a blues cruise around Manhattan. And one time I went on there and it was Albert Collins, Buddy Guy, Junior Wells, and another guitar player. It was just an amazing show. I used to do it every year in New York called the Blues Cruise. I don't know if they still have it, but I think this one with Viva might be the Jews Cruise down there in Chattanooga. So
could be. We got a tip from Ziggy.
Okay.
It's actually pretty good, but she's saying, well, it's pretty clear to me, as clear as an AUS wine,
ooh,
whiskey.
Ooh.
Let me see.
Ooh. I wish I had those.
Pint.
Not the pint. There's another one without a stem. Isn't there one without a stem?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, that's the one I need. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Or shot glass.
No, I'm not going to use a shot glass.
Oh, I'm just saying that Ziggy's letting us know. And
well, if I had them,
hold on, at creationsbyziggy.com, there is a link in the description. Mm-hmm. If anybody would like those, like some glasses, they're really cool.
Okay, I would like some glasses.
Yeah, I think they're on their way soon.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to use them. I've been using this for a long time. I'm willing to switch as long as the people subscribe. And also, I drink out of the locals thermostat.
Or just thermos.
What's a thermos and a thermostat? They're both heat. Therm is
one is a controller on your wall, and the other is just a thermos.
Right, but it knows to keep it cold when it's cold.
It doesn't know anything. It just doesn't change temperature. If it's cold, it's cold.
But
if it's hot, it's hot.
By thermos means heat. That's what I'm saying. Thermos is therm.
Right, but I think it's steady temperature, but it's maintained because it keeps it hot. So you can put a hot drink in there and it'll stay hot.
I don't know how it knows the difference.
I don't think it does. It just maintains whatever it is.
Okay. Well, I also, I'm just saying, locals thermos is a great product.
Fair enough. Working title. My nephew bought a G.I. Joe doll and it came with DOD and CIA classified documents.
No. Is that really? I mean, there's something in there. I think they give you some kind of paperwork.
Probably.
Yeah. Probably says that. I think G.I. Joe is now being indicted.
Hold on. Isn't that what I just said? It keeps the temperature steady.
Yeah, that's what he did.
That's what he just said. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, you can say I'm right.
I want to tell you something. G.I. Joe has been indicted for raping Barbie in 1951, and they're saying there's no statute of limitations on this. And there's a new Barbie movie coming out with Ryan Gosling. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this. It is the craziest looking film I've ever seen. Take a look at the Barbie.
I would think that they probably named Barbie trans and then call it a day.
Not yet.
Emphasis on yet. FedJ sent a tip in. Anything new on the Donbas Davushka since her FBI/NCIS interest and her outing with former Navy E8 fish store owner and New Jersey resident. She's been interviewed on the Duran, among others.
I haven't seen the Duran in a couple of days. I'm going to have to catch up over the weekend on all my Durans. I've been locked in because of my gal pal to a weird show here, a reality show I've been watching. Not, I hate to say this, but I've been locked into a reality show for a couple of weeks watching it, and I'm into it. I don't know. I'm just hooked.
I don't know. It's like junk food, dude.
Yeah, it's like junk food. Yeah, it's like junk food. And apparently the show's like 10 years old. And last night she said, no, you have to see the first season. And I'm going, of course I do. So now I had to start over. I'm in the 10th season. Now I'm going back to season 1.
Hey, I've just finished season 4 of Fargo, which came out in 2020.
Wow.
And that was excellent. Chris Rock did a great job. I mean, really a amazing series.
Of course, I'm talking about the erudite Vanderpump Rules show, which I highly recommend. I'm telling you, this show is addictive as F. Vanderpump Rules, and the people who watch it know what I'm talking about.
I'll throw my own reality series into the mix. Outlast. And I interviewed Javier Colon.
This is your own thing. I've interviewed show. Yeah. Okay.
No. I mean, the show's on Netflix. It's called Outlast. It's a survival show.
Oh, okay.
In Alaska. I interviewed one of the people from it, but the show starts off as like, okay, it's interesting. And then it gets going and you're like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like,
well, Vanderpump Rules
taken that involve threatening people's lives.
Vanderpump Rules is set here in Hollywood. So it's kind of like, right around the corner, and these people are interesting in terms of their vanity and narcissism. Let me put it that way.
Which is kind of redundant if you're talking reality.
Yeah. You get hooked on it.
All right, let me see. Hurlbut in Louisiana captured 1862. No 40 acres or north. 40
what is
acres.
it? Let me ask something. When you write these things, you can't.
I don't know what it.
Can you write a full sentence, or does that cost more money?
Well, I do know that there's a limit on characters.
Oh, okay, all right.
But I just don't
Twitter.
know.
It's like Twitter.
It kind of. I think the more money you do, get more characters. But I don't know the
captured 1862, no 40 acres, and a mule. I presume is what he's saying.
It could be north 40 acres too, because
I think he's saying no 40 acres and a mule for these slaves who were.
It could be
captured by. I don't know. I'm guessing.
All right. Well, did Ike meet aliens, Mark?
I don't know, but they flew over the White House, as we covered in the Jack Parsons after he died episode. According to Marjorie, his girlfriend, she believed that the 1952 sightings over the White House were in regards to Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley cracking of the universe of some sort. I'm a little out of touch with that storyline, but had something to do with Jack Parsons in 1952, who was already dead, but somehow they were coming because of Parsons.
All right. Well, Dina loves your hair.
Go Dina, finally, some normal person.
Patrick Washburn, you need to run a contest for most connections with the JFK assassination. I already sent Mark my list.
Well, I'm the Kevin Bacon of the JFK assassination. I mean, Sirhan, put it this way, Sirhan wrote a letter denouncing me. I mean, I don't think Oswald did that to
you got to put that on Locals at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to look into the legality of it, because his lawyer says that I don't own the letter, even though it's a letter about
Well, let's
me.
ask Paul.
Well, Paul Schrade, who's dead, was the one who he's the one who gave me the letter, the legendary. So
tell them to talk to Paul.
Yeah, he's up in conspiracy heaven right now. So yeah.
Oh, here we go. Greatest and nicest blind blues legend of modern times, Jeff Healey, R.I.P.
Oh, I didn't know he was blind, Jeff Healey.
Oh, yeah. You know what's amazing is, check it out sometime. Jeff Healey played with Stevie Ray Vaughan sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Jeff Healey would play his guitar in his lap.
I guess he had to. I mean,
well,
you know who goes blind from albinoism. Edgar told me that Johnny went blind at the
Yep.
end and had to sit in a wheelchair playing guitar because he had gone blind from
Albinos often do.
albinoism. Yeah. I don't think Edgar did. Edgar, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but he lives here in town.
Oh, wait, what? I didn't realize. I didn't know Edgar was still around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Tico 75, awesome show. Thank you. Well,
Once saw a show with Edgar Winter and Leon Russell in a tiny bar called the Boiseville Inn in Boiseville, New York, next to Shokan, New York. And it was quite amazing. Quite amazing.
Amazing. Low IQ Media. Started watching late. You can't forget Blind Melon Chitlin.
That's a good one. Blind Melon Chitlin. Right.
And let me see. Oh, here we go. Alex Davy Duke popped in. Hi, Mark. I haven't heard RFK Jr.'s speech. Barnes spoke of it. Barnes seemed to be less disturbed over RFK Jr.'s support for the Ukraine-Russia war. RFK Jr. is for war. Goodbye to Bobby.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in the show. It's disturbing to me. I don't know if it's disturbing to Barnes, but I was quite surprised that he supported the war. That was not a pleasant thing to hear.
Okay, and let me see. Working Title said the original movie is better, but Rachel Ward in the remake Against All Odds was really hot.
That is true. That is true.
Oh, that's right. Jeff Healey was the guitar player in Roadhouse.
The movie?
Yeah.
That I don't know. I'd have to see that with Patrick.
It's been a long time. Swayze.
Patrick Swayze, who refused to come out of his trailer because he was doing so much cocaine that he would not come out.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, on that note,
hold on.
Doesn't do cocaine? Oswald doesn't do cocaine.
Oswald doesn't do any cocaine.
And Oswald, you can find in our merch store. There's links below. You can also find cool shirts. I decided to go light.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Tie-dye, America's Untold Stories. You got the hats. Got the glasses, which is Creations by Ziggy. But I want to give a special shout out. There is a link in the description. And it's you can also just go to erichunley.com/secret support. One of our mods, Secret McSquirrel, who's been doing moderation our chat for almost the whole show, well, she's been fighting cancer, and it's kind of hard for her to pick up and clean up around the house and to just take care of things. And we're trying to raise a little bit of money for her to hire people who come in a couple days a week and just help her out. So if you want and can afford it, there is a link, support a few bucks, whatever it is. It definitely will help her out. She was, apparently she's in and out of the hospital and, comes home, refrigerator's open, all the food's rotten. Not a fun thing to deal with. And
so on Tuesday, we're going to be doing a show in the continuing LBJ Circle of Crime. This is one of the gun malls of LBJ named Madeline Brown, right, Eric? Madeline Duncan Brown will be the subject on Tuesday. She was the mistress of LBJ who begat a
kid, right?
Yeah, who begat an LBJ Jr. Speaking of RFK Jr., she begat an LBJ Jr. that LBJ never acknowledged, but sent money to like a trust fund or a foundation for the kid to keep him going. But a dead ringer. And we'll show the photos on Tuesday. And some of the stories that are going to come out on Madeline Brown, which some of this is for the ladies on Tuesday. This is one I've been meaning to do for a while. She was madly in love with LBJ. So this may be some stomach churning discussion, but she loved him madly. And there are photos of LBJ back in the day, which we're going to show, some older photos where he looks like a silent film Lothario movie star. And she, when you read her book, which is Texas in the Morning, I think it's called, Some of these books
on
like,
locals, by the way.
Right. The PDFs are on locals, but the books like this book, for instance, in print, is like
165.
What'd you say?
165. I think you're saying.
Yeah, it's like 100. Yeah, essential links. Some of these are $200, $150, $300 to get into print. I don't like to read PDFs, but if I have to, I will. But I just want to thank people for sending book RFK, JFK, and RFK book money through PayPal to me, because it goes to the book fund that leads to me reading these books, which is a lot easier than sitting in front of the computer reading a PDF all day. It drives me insane. So to have the actual books through that PayPal JFK book fund is really great. I just want to thank everyone for doing that. And a lot of these books, like Eric points out, I have gotten PDFs of them, and we put them on locals for locals members only. And they are rare, even the PDFs. We've got a bunch of them up there. But for me as a researcher, it's easier to read a hardcover book than to go through a PDF on a computer. So.
No, fair enough. Let me see. Marlene Stewart, Maddie Brown would be a great name for a new plush feline for those collecting. Yeah.
Okay, that's weird. You mean like one of our dolls or something? Or
yeah, like we have Oswald, Maddie Brown, but we don't have a cat, unfortunately.
We don't have a cat line. We don't have a cat line.
We do not. Sparty Matt was saying that we're the best. Thank you, Sparty Matt.
Hey, Sparty Matt.
Wow. Sancho Relaxo. Von Healy clip. Look at Stevie's face when Jeff solos. He's amazed. Yes.
Okay.
Check it on YouTube sometime if you get a chance.
I will.
It's definitely worth watching the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So that is what's coming up on Tuesday. I should have a grill stream tomorrow.
What?
I'm going to actually be on the road with friends in a museum, whatever. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might be doing the grill stream from my phone, but I will try to do the grill stream tomorrow. But otherwise, I hope to see everybody on locals. There's posts going in. I'll be putting up hopefully Rob Morrow this weekend.
Oh, Rob Morrow from Austin.
Yep.
Dude, this guy is a great raconteur in the classic Texas tradition of storytelling. He's a maniac, but man, oh man, can this guy spin a yarn.
But he's our kind of maniac.
He's our kind of maniac. He supplied me with that Bolden footage from last week of Abraham Bolden talking about LBJ and his encounter with the Kennedy brothers. Amazing piece of footage.
Also, I'll be putting up Mark's podcast, his radio appearance from yesterday, and that'll
from
be
Montgomery, Alabama. I think.
Yeah, that's going to be free for everybody. You don't have to be a paying supporter. It'll just be up there for anybody to check out.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'll do it Thursday again with him. This guy's a great guy down there. Big fan of the show, Greg Budell.
All right. Well, and I just saw he was in locals, I think, in the chat.
Bravo. Go Greg. Go Greg.
So it's wonderful to see him, and we will see everybody Tuesday.
Tuesday.